everybody, welcome to Amy Noel YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing about my son Jacob's experience with special education in elementary school. The reason I'm sharing this is to show that without proper intervention, a child's reading and writing will not improve, especially if their dyslexia is severe. I also want to bring to awareness that most public schools do not offer proper intervention for dyslexia. Many parents don't have the financial resources or the time or ability to help their child on their own. That's why a free, appropriate public education is so important. I want you to know that I'm sharing this with Jacob's permission, that he is happy to share his story. To prepare for this video, I looked over his IEPs and emails from elementary school years and also my journals, and it just makes my heart ache thinking back on those times. Many people with dyslexia can identify with the pain and struggles that Jacob has dealt with in the school system. Like I shared in another video, I put my children into a Spanish immersion school, which now I feel was a huge mistake. It has worked for some people with dyslexia, and I've heard it can be beneficial. However, because my children's dyslexia was so severe, it just made it really worse. As I shared in the video of his toddler and preschool years, we suspected that Jacob had dyslexia. I had heard that early intervention is very important for kids with dyslexia. I talked to a friend of mine who is a principal, and he said that I could write a letter requesting that he be evaluated, and then the school would have a certain amount of time to meet that request. So that's what I did as soon as he started to have academic problems in school. That's very early to evaluate for phonological processing issues. However, he did qualify for inattention issues. His IEP says his adaptive skills are below average in the areas of functional communication and social skills. His social emotional assessment indicates that there are significant symptoms of withdrawal, attention problems, and anxiety. Atypical and inattentive behaviors impeding communication and socialization. Results from the CPT-2 continuous performance test reveal the presence of clinical levels of inattention. Jacob qualified under the category of other health impairment under attention-related disorders. I was so excited when I got his IEP, and I left thinking, yes, I got his early intervention, I did my part. He was also able to get a counselor right away to help him with the inattention issues and also to be an emotional support. That has helped him a lot over the last 7 years. The special education curriculum at that school and most schools in the country was not evidence-based, multisensory, structured, research-based, and sequential. Even though I got Jacob an IEP and services early, he didn't make progress. And because he was in a 90-10 Spanish immersion school, that worsened the situation because he wasn't getting very much time in English language arts. I really didn't know anything about special education at that time, and I didn't know about IEPs and what should be in one, what kind of results to expect. Year after year, his goals went unmet, and I just had way too much faith in the system and the staff. I know that they cared about my son and that they were trying their best. Right away, I started helping Jacob with his reading and with his homework as much as I could. I was always trying to push him to do more than he was ready to do. He really needed to start at just the basic phonics level, and I was trying to get him to read the grade level material that his teacher was sending home. But one thing I did do was to request the best teachers for him every year. I also started to educate myself and him on dyslexia. I felt it was important for him to know why he was having problems and that he wasn't stupid. I remember that in second grade, he became aware of how far behind his peers he was, and it was very painful for him. But he was still trying, and sometimes he would come home and say things like, "Reading is fun." As a lot of you know, from kindergarten to second grade, children are learning to read. Then in third grade, they start reading to learn. So third grade was just miserable for Jacob. In April of his third grade year, he had his triennial IEP. Of course, in that evaluation, the phonological processing issues were apparent. Looking back in the IEP, they mentioned the family history of dyslexia. The principal and the school psychologist both tried to convince me that a Spanish school was not right for Jacob. For some reason, I wasn't ready to pull him out of the school until the middle of fourth grade the following year. I started searching on YouTube for help. I was desperate. I couldn't afford a tutor, and because of my own ADHD and anxiety, I was so stressed out all the time, I didn't feel like I had time to take him to tutoring. My friend had done neurofeedback with her kids at our local state university with great success. But again, we couldn't afford it, and we didn't have time to take them there. At that time, I did not understand the importance and the value of Orton-Gillingham-based tutoring programs. I did purchase a program for $300 called Learning Success by Liz Weaver, and I thought that it was really going to work. It was going to change my son's brain. I did it with Jacob and Michael. It was too hard for me to do it with multiple children and to be consistent with it. Also, the boys were not seeing results quick enough for them to be motivated to keep doing it. So we stopped that after a few months. Then Jacob started 4th grade. He was really struggling, so near the beginning of 4th grade, we decided to put him in the special day class during Spanish time. He was now doing 50% of the day in special day class and 50% of the day in mainstream English class. He really liked special day class and started looking forward to school because he said he could actually learn things there. But because he was so far behind by this time, he still wasn't getting appropriate intervention for his situation. I was still searching for answers, and on Audible I listened to a book called Disconnected Kids, and I became convinced that it was the answer to our problem. At this time, my parents offered to pay for tutoring, and I still did not understand the value of evidence-based structured multisensory one-to-one instruction, so I asked them to pay for Brain Balance. I put my 2 oldest sons in Brain Balance, and then after about a month we added our 3rd son. It was very hard for me to drive to another city 2 nights a week with all 5 of my children and to try to entertain the younger ones while the older ones were in the program. My oldest son said he did notice that it was helping him, and I know that it works for a lot of people. I was not able to keep up with the exercises with all of my children. The diet of no sugar, no dairy, and no wheat was too hard for us. We have a low income, there's a lot of us, and my kids are on school lunch. They were hardly getting anything to eat at lunch. So we only did that for a few months. They did refund my parents for unused sessions that they had paid for. We finally decided to transfer all of our kids into our local school district. Jacob started going to a regular class all day. He had a really nice teacher. She read him Fish in a Tree. She tried to work with him. He was going to RSP the maximum amount of minutes per week, but there was still no evidence-based, multisensory, direct, explicit, structured, sequential literacy instruction. Year after year, his goals were partially met. I don't think he ever met an IEP goal. The school suggested that he and my 3rd grader be put in special day class because they were so far behind in the curriculum. We said no that year, but then the following year when he was in 5th grade and Michael was in 4th grade, we did put them into special day class starting half day and then whole day. But there was still no evidence-based, direct, multisensory, structured literacy program. I had tried very hard to show Jacob that his problems at school were because of dyslexia and that he was not stupid. But somewhere between 3rd grade and 6th grade, he stopped believing that. He lost complete confidence in his academic ability. He had hoped, tried, and failed so many times. Getting pulled out of class didn't work, special day class didn't work, learning success didn't work, brain balance didn't work, switching schools didn't work. The purpose of this video is to bring to awareness the fact that our public schools do not offer proper instruction for kids with dyslexia. We need them to invest in research-based, effective programs specifically for dyslexia because 1 in 5 of our students has dyslexia. It will save them thousands of dollars in special education. If children in grades kinder to 2nd can get that kind of instruction without needing an IEP for it. It will also spare children with dyslexia a lot of heartache. This year, Jacob started middle school and mainstreamed into regular classes all day. My goal is to get the right help for Jacob with the limited resources that I have. There are so many single parents out there on a low income with disabilities themselves who need a free, appropriate public education. Parents of kids with dyslexia should not have to sue the school district to get a free, appropriate public education. If you or your child has had a similar situation with the school system, please share it in the comments below to raise awareness of how prevalent this issue is. If you like what I'm fighting for, please subscribe to my channel. My goal is that we can get a free, appropriate public education for Jacob without having to file due process. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss any videos. I make new videos every Tuesday and Thursday.